I'm Sue Miller, your Illinois Realtors 2021 president, and I'm joined today by three of my friends and accomplished leaders, the president of NAHREP Chicago, NAHREP Chicago North, and NAHREP Lake County. Today, we're going to spend a little time getting to know more about these three great leaders, Robert Padron, Guillermo Chavez, and of course, my good friend, Rocio Mena, and the great work of NAHREP's chapters in Illinois, So let's get this rocking. I'm gonna start out with just a couple quickie throws to them. So, Guillermo, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? What do you do? How'd you get into real estate? And what's important to you?
Thank you, Sue. This is Guillermo. I am the Chicago North NAHREP Chapter President for 2021. My background, I am Mexican, born, raised in Mexico, and came here at 16 years old. Always had these entrepreneurship spirit. And early on, right after high school, I joined and became a loan officer. That is really where my career started. But faith and destiny took me in a different path, and now I am a state farm agent. Always been involved highly with real estate, and I really had a passion for what the mission and vision of NAHREP is. I got really involved early on, and now here we are with running one of the chapters.
Great to be here. First of all, I'm Rocio Mena, president of NAHREP Lake County. So a little bit about myself. I was born in Mexico, Guanajuato, Mexico. My mom came to the United States when we were very little. So I pretty much grew up in the area. I grew up in the Lake County area. This is where I've been all my life. This is my family. And, I really liked real estate ever since I was little. My uncle is actually in construction, and I would always tag along even when I was a kid. There was something about housing that I liked, right? Updating a kitchen, doing all that stuff. So I would always tag along even when I was a kid over the weekends, whenever he was doing work. So I feel like I always had that passion for real estate, for housing, just overall. But, I became a realtor back in 2014. And ever since, I know that this is really, where my passion is. My background in customer service. It makes me feel like this is my home, and my passion for helping others too. I'm very involved in my community. I do a lot of volunteering, so I feel like it kind of all ties into what I do. So I'm definitely passionate about real estate overall. I did become NAHREP Lake County's president last year, and I've been involved in the chapter since we founded the chapter in Lake County.
I got into real estate back in 2003, and to be honest with you, my real passion for real estate was the experience that I saw my parents kind of go through to get their first home in Skokie. It was way too difficult. I knew that there was a better way to help people get into home ownership. And that was really my drive to get in there. And it also came with a lot of the entrepreneurial spirit that my parents kind of instilled on me at an early age. I first started off as a real estate agent. Then I purchased the franchise. So I'm the managing broker and owner here at RE/MAX Cityview, and also the chapter president of NAHREP Chicago.
Well, you've all spoken to how important being a leader in NAHREP is. And again, you've all shown me and our viewers how much that goes in alignment with your passion of delivering the message of home ownership and how important that is. Who wants to take this question? Tell me when your involvement with NAHREP changed from just being a member to stepping up into leadership.
Yeah, so I first got started as a committee member. So I was a committee member on the educational team, which I think is a great path for a lot of members to kind of really get associated with your local chapter. And then from there, I became the educational director on the board. Then the next year I was the vice president on the board. And then obviously this year I'm blessed to be the president of the board. So I think that, first starting off as a committee member, you really learn a lot of the insides of what the chapter does, what all the board members do. And you really get to see a lot of the behind the scenes things that we do, which is fantastic. The volunteer work that everybody on the board does, everybody on this call is just, my hat's off to them. It's a great job.
So for those viewers that are watching that aren't familiar with the accomplishments and the initiatives that NAHREP does, who wants to talk about the initiatives that are on the plate?
I started being involved with the organization itself in 2018. And I've been, again, as I mentioned, with the founding chapter. But one of the things that I've seen is that every year on a national level, there are priorities as far as policy, right? And you can find all this information on our website. But one of the main priorities for this year, and every year is different, for this year has been the housing inventory, access to credit, immigration, pandemic recovery. And I think all of those things are really, a huge impact to what, we have been going on for the last 2 years. But we do have a strategy for all of this on a federal level. We have a strategy on a state and local level, which I think is awesome. And you can find all the details on our website, as I mentioned. But just the passion itself, right? What the accomplishments and what we want to, to reach. I think these are topics that are very important for all of us, especially as we're going through, the current circumstances as far as the pandemic or immigration. Immigration is a big topic, access to credit, having that down payment assistance, just the housing inventory. How do we increase the inventory, right? We're going through a crazy seller's market. So all of that itself and having a strategy to, come with a plan on how to address all of this, I think that's very powerful on, on a national level.
NAHREP also created this called the Wealth Project, which everybody has access to it. You can look it up, and it kind of measures the percentages on the Hispanic market, what we are doing as a community. And I'm sure you're already aware, we are responsible for 60% of the real estate purchasing power. And in the next 20 years, we'll be responsible, the Hispanic community, for more than 70% of the real estate purchasing power. So that's one of the things that I really love about NAHREP and how they're investing time into measuring how important the Hispanic community is to not only Illinois in a local level, but nationally.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was going to kick the next question to you, given that your background is finance and banking and insurance, that again, one of the obstacles has always been the financial aspect. And now that we've been tracking Hispanic homeownership and you're reaching incredible percentages, clearly that obstacle is being approached, identified, and corrected, which is awesome. So do you have any comments in that direction, since that's your background? And we're obviously spending some time and attention to that. Any thoughts on the future?
Well, what I think personally, right? I'm an immigrant. I came at 16 years old, and I'm a proud father of 2 daughters. So I think not only as Hispanics, right, any race or culture, we need to kind of like plant these seeds into our children to be good people, right? And also the importance of being smart with your money. I know that all people talk about like health and history when you go to school, and the importance of having a financial class that will prepare you to just simple things as opening a checking account. So in my eyes, I think as parents and as leaders, which I have to thank NAHREP that put me in that position of I'm not too comfortable with video or presenting on stage. And I've been getting better thanks to NAHREP, and now I can see that we can advocate to the next generations to be better than we did as immigrants. So I would say be smart with your decisions, take risks, but make smart, calculated risks.
So the priorities and obviously the initiatives that NAHREP's putting forward are so beneficial to all communities. And I think they're just so on point. It's amazing. So anybody want to talk to me about the history of NAHREP and where it was started and how we got to where we are today?
Well, to start it off, on a national level, NAHREP was created really with in the beginning, a single purpose in mind, and that was to give, Hispanic real estate professionals a voice in the industry. As the numbers of Latino professionals grow as a lender or as a real estate agent, insurance agent, our voice needs to grow as well. And NAHREP was really created as a platform for us to get our voice out and to get our message out to not only the rest of the real estate world, but more importantly to the Latinos out there that, there is an organization that is behind you and that supports you throughout. And then when you look at the more local level, NAHREP Chicago, which was the first chapter here in Illinois, and of course here in Chicago, that was created. They started the groundwork in 2002 and started to actually get members in 2003. So we like to think that it's an old organization, but when you look at 2003, it's the first year I got licensed in real estate. So not a huge time from now, and it's really grown. So now, with the 3 chapters here, 160 plus chapters across the nation, it's really grown leaps and bounds.
And over 60,000 members nationwide, which is impressive coming from a person, Gary, right, one of the founders. They had an idea, they'd execute it, and now it's nationwide. It's very impressive.
So NAHREP Chicago right now sits between 500 and 600 members. We're, since inception in 2003, we've had around 5,000 members at any given point join the organization, but we currently sit around there. I'll leave that up to the other presidents on the call to maybe get some numbers on their chapters, respectfully.
We're almost at 100 members. Due to COVID, it did decrease a little, but it's increasing as we're back to face-to-face events.
I can tell you we have about the same numbers as Chicago North. We are the newest chapter on the call. When we started, it was actually prior to COVID. We had an amazing start, but after that, the last year and a half, we've actually gone virtual. As much as you want to move forward with things, everything that happened, right? Everything that happened kind of made us stop for a little bit. So as we're going back to in-person events and just getting a handle on things again, we definitely want our chapter to grow. Therefore, I do want to take the opportunity to invite, all the viewers to reach out to any of our chapters and get involved in your communities.
So while we're talking about your members, each of you tell me 1 or 2 things that your members love about your chapter or about your chapter events. So if I walked up to one of your people with a microphone and said, tell me what you love, what would they respond?
Just finding that education, coming in and being able to hear about an important topic that we bring on hand. I think that's very important. I think as real estate professionals, we always want to grow. We always want to learn. There's always room to grow. So our events are basically educational. It's educational and networking. And just creating those relationships, right? A lot of our members and even a lot of our board of directors, we've made connections through the chapter. We have made, strong relationships with our business partners, which in a sense, it goes back to helping us when we're dealing with a transaction, right? Because now you have a relationship with that loan officer, a relationship with that insurance agent. So it does help you overall on your everyday basis in every single transaction. So I think that's basically, 2 of the things that I hear a lot about: education and networking and building those relationships.
The networking piece is big, connecting, building relationships. But we as leaders here, I'm sure we can share the same struggle when we're planning an event. It's like, how can we really bring value to our members? And Rocio and I, we're kind of close and we're always like, what are you gonna do? So we don't kind of like do the same thing, and that's what they love. I think bringing value and like our last event, we had the former lieutenant governor, and she was speaking about getting involved with the community and giving you like baby steps on how you can simply just go to your local city and start asking, how can I help out? How can I donate my time? So I think the education part and the networking, it's same as Rocio. So I agree.
I think if you ask any one of our members, we're blessed that, as the largest chapter in the nation, we do have the resources and the funds to put on some really world-class events. And that's actually what they've done from the beginning at this chapter. So we're just trying to keep that legacy alive, making every single event better than the last one. And most importantly, exactly what Rocio said is the educational point of that. We really look at every single speaker that's going to come up on stage and see what type of value they're going to give to our members. If it's someone that, I probably wouldn't want to hear from, I would echo that as the majority of our members are in the same way. So they got to provide value. They got to give them something to go out of that event saying, I actually learned something, I'm going to implement it, and I'm going to make this work into my business.
Illinois Realtors has been your valued industry partner since 2018. What does that partnership mean to your chapters, and has it been a good thing?
It's been fantastic. It provides us with not only the thousands of members that Illinois Association of Realtors has, but it gives us that sense of credibility that you only get with large organizations like CAR and Illinois Association of Realtors. You guys provide tons of educational components. You've got people that are solely directed at government affairs, which is a huge help for our chapters. It's a great resource that we use at some of our events to pass that information on to our members. So I value the collaboration and the support that we've always had from your organization, and thank you obviously for your continued support.
I agree 100% with Robert. I mean, Jakiva, we're new. Rocio and I, we're the newest chapters, and it can be a lonely place, and you have a lot of struggles. And having the support of you guys, it's definitely a blessing. Jakiva reached out to us to be an annual sponsor, but not only to help us as an annual sponsor, but also resources, right? So like a speaker, or you guys have a lot of connection and the education part, which is big for us. Definitely, it connects one-on-one, and we appreciate the support all the way.
It's always a pleasure to have, such a partnership. And I think just sharing the same values. I think I agree with what Robert and Guillermo said, but just sharing the same values, we really, truly appreciate your partnership.
And we certainly appreciate the partnership, because the more we can work together, and we do have common foundation and values, we're all moving the issues the same direction. And as your president of Illinois Realtors, I've had the opportunity to grow and expand my knowledge by attending your functions. And obviously, I enjoy every opportunity to meet and greet and to meet my members, because your members are our members, which is exciting. So in that vein, Illinois Realtors in the next year is focusing on being united, strong, and resilient. You've heard me say that time and time again this year in my messaging. What advice would you share with our colleagues in the real estate industry about being strong, united, and resilient in 2021? If you had to make a message, what would you say to our colleagues?
I would say get involved. Our market has shifted through COVID panic, when COVID started, to a huge rise in home ownership, to a seller's market. And I think as all of this has shifted, in the last year and a half, I think that all of those changes had made us adapt. So I think just, getting involved with organizations such as yours, such as ours, and just, finding that support to be able to move along those changes in the market. I think that's really something that, you know, it's uniting us. We're sharing ideas. You always want to learn. And it's going to make you strong and resilient overall.
Yeah, no, I just have one word, and Rocio already said it, but it's a word that I've been using probably since 2006 and 7, and that's adapt. You have to, as a real estate agent or as a professional in this industry, you have to adapt. So as we all know, you got to take the good with the bad, but you have to be prepared and anticipate where you think the market is going. So if that means getting educated in foreclosures or short sales, if that means getting educated in the luxury market, knowing where renters are going, knowing exactly the ordinances that, you know, that are out there, it's extremely important that you be able to adapt and pivot to any type of market. It's the only way to survive and to thrive.
I would say knowledge is power, right? But it's really what you do with the knowledge that where the power lies. But also something very simple: be kind one another and support each other out. I think that's what NAHREP has taught me personally. That, you know, we reach out to each other for support. So it's interesting times. And Robert, like he says, adapt and continue to move forward to continue to help our communities achieve that goal of homeownership.
You know, and coming out of COVID, we've all expanded our vocabulary. And what I just heard from you is a new recharge on our vocabulary of reset and pivot and adapt and recharge. And, you know, those are all words that we've been using. And it's so true that we just have to start over and make sure that we're ahead of the curve and being proactive and not reactive. So thank you for reminding all of our colleagues that we're in it to win it, and you just have to be ahead of the curve and to make sure that you're ready, willing, and able, because that's where we're at. And the people who are there and involved are always going to be successful. And I think, you know, I'm speaking to the choir here on Zoom, but again, our listeners want to get those tidbits and those nuggets from us. So thank you for sharing. So if someone wanted to become a member of NAHREP, where would they go? How would they find you and your group so they can get re-energized?
NAHREPChicagoNorth.org. All of us have each our own website, but I do want to touch on the platinum level, where it allows you to attend any chapter. You can also become that, and that can be through NAHREP.org. But that's ours, NAHREPChicagoNorth.org.
You can become a member of our chapter at NAHREPLakeCounty.org. And you can also, you know, I'm not sure if, obviously, when it comes to becoming a member, you can go to NAHREP.org and you can find a local chapter as well if you're somewhere not close to us and you need to find a closer chapter as well.
You can always become a member, which, you know, honestly, the membership is what drives our chapters and is the reason why that we all do what we do for the chapter. So for NAHREP Chicago, it's pretty simple. It's NAHREPChicago.org. Another way you can do is you can always just do a Google search for NAHREP, and you can see where the local chapters are at. Just by the names, you can also see geographically maybe which chapter might be the best fit for you. And then NAHREP.org is a great resource if you want to find out everything about NAHREP. There's some really good policy information on that website. And it's constantly updated. There's great messages from the CEO and the president. And I advise everyone watching to click and go on it.
So I will add, just for our viewers, that when you go to one chapter, you are not just going to meet people from that chapter. People from other chapters kind of come over and they go to the others, because this is a large group of individuals that like to be with each other and they like to build that network of individuals. So you will be surprised when you walk into a room that you're expecting to be only with Lake County or only with Chicago North, and you will not be with those folks. You will be with people from all of these chapters together. So I was quite surprised when I went to the most recent event at Lake County, And I was like, no, you're from Chicago North and you're from Chicago. And they're like, oh yeah, we're all here because we're all here supporting each other, which, as you all said, was one of the greatest benefits that people are looking for, is that network opportunity and the opportunity to meet and mingle and work with colleagues. And I find that one of the best benefits of your networking is that everybody wants to be at your events, which is amazing. So please, for our viewers, go out there, get to one of these networks, but plan on attending many, because they are all amazing. And truly, the education is top notch. So you will not get better education than you will find at these events. And there is always a component of education. There is always a component of networking, and there is always a component of fun. So don't be prepared for anything less than a great event. So I'm going to wrap this up with just a couple more questions. We are celebrating National Hispanic American Heritage Month. How are you all celebrating?
Every year I go to our local parade. Well, last year we didn't have a parade, but this year, again, I participated in the parade. It's always a great way to, just see everybody in the community. I actually saw a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a long time. But typically I celebrate by joining at the local events, and just having some fun, dressing up with, our heritage outfits, and taking my kids to celebrate and seeing, all of these just different cultures. It's not typically the parade. It's not just the Mexican independence, but you have, Honduras, you have different cultures coming in and showing us a little bit about their culture. So I think that's what I like to do every year.
In my case, talking about getting involved with your community, I'm also part of the Northwest Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So they do have Heritage Month event. So I attend that as well. And just trying to put that fit into my daughters, so they're proud of their culture. But it just happens that it's Mexican Independence Day. I'm Mexican, so it's kind of like two celebrations at once.
We actually, for this month, we're highlighting some of the local CEOs, some Hispanic CEOs, some people that have really had just a hard time getting into the business, and really trying to highlight them so that other people can take a look and say, hey, you know what? Maybe my path is not exactly the same as his or hers, but that seems like a pretty cool way to go. And I would like to go down that same road. So we just want to let everybody know that there's opportunity out here. And I think that this is a great month to highlight that.
For our viewers' benefit, I would like to give you one more opportunity to cover anything I haven't covered. So, Guillermo, what haven't I asked you that you'd like to share?
Definitely, I will invite you to go to NAHREP.org, look more into it, but we didn't talk about our 10 principles that NAHREP stands by. I'm not gonna go in detail in them, but definitely, to me, life-changing. I try to live my life by following those 10 principles. And I'll share one of them. Be top 10% of your industry, which I really thrive on, and I really work hard to be on the top 10% of my industry, which is insurance. Family is important, is part of it as well. So go into our website, look into the NAHREP 10. I print them out and I have it on my office. I have it in my house, on my nightstand. I read them every time I have a chance and remind myself that it's not only about working and life balance and what's really important in life. So the NAHREP 10 principles, look them up, read them, check them out, and follow them.
Thank you. I have read them and they're amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Are we seeing in person? Is it, are your next events going to be coming up in person? Are they virtual? Just like the rest of the chapters, we've gone through 17 months of virtual events. Our last in-person event, which sold out, was a great success. was in person. We do have our next in-person event, which is a women's empowerment event, October 14th. We'd love to see everybody there. But yes, we are in person. You know, we're tracking how everything is developing, but as of right now, we'd love to see people in person.
One of the things that we always get asked is, do I have to be Hispanic to join? And you don't. We welcome everyone. I think that's a very important question. We are a Hispanic organization, but it doesn't mean you have to be Hispanic to join us. We are here for the same purpose, educating, networking, and overall, you know, just following the mission, which is increasing the sustainable rate of homeownership. So overall, we're in this for the same reason, and we welcome everyone.
Well, I want to thank you three for taking time out of your day and joining me for this presidential chat. It has been a distinct honor and privilege to know you, to meet you, and to build relationships. On behalf of Illinois Realtors and Industry Partner Relationships, ladies and gentlemen, these are your NAHREP leaders. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.